Hey folks, hope you're doing well. Just continuing this short lecture series on some corrections and new understandings and overlooked features of the wattles. This is part two. There's part one there on the channel if you haven't seen it. Just adding in some little tidbits that have become apparent through some wattle workshops and some deeper diving. And I think they're worth going into. This one's on the number of flower petals in the flowers, or what we might call the perianth parts, where you got petals of a flower fused into either lobes or maybe a tube, and in wattles it would be a very short tube. They can call that the perianth or perianth parts, or you might call it a corolla, which is sort of all the petals joined together as well. And there can be 4 or 5 of them. That's a new thing that I've sort of discovered just with a bit more attention and a little bit more study. Don't forget this website here, it's really good. And you can go into the identification tool and some other fact sheets here as well. And you can just read that sometimes the number of petals on the flowers differ. You can have 5, but you can have 4 in some cases. This is a slide from my PowerPoint lecture on YouTube that I put a recording over. And just for some reason, I've said the flowers are 5-merous, and I've said they're uniform between the species. Went through the inflorescences in the last lecture of the bipinnate species, but that's not really true, or that's not totally true. They sort of are uniform, but they're not. They've got the same structure generally at all times, but it's not completely true just to say they're exactly the same. I said they had 5-merous flowers, meaning parts come in 5s, which is a typical dicot feature. 5 sepals or calyx lobes, and that pretty much stacks up. 5 petals or corolla lobes or perianth lobes, and numerous stamens surrounding one carpel. That stacks up a lot of the time. Sometimes flowers can be purely male. There's no receptive carpel there, is my understanding. That's something I might have to look at in further detail too. But most of the times the flowers are bisexual, with the female part coming out there and the male stamens here. Now, what I did in the last year's workshop, I tried really hard to dissect some flowers out of the globular head. I think this was from Acacia paramatensis. And these are the individual flowers, and I've just taken a real bodgy photo down the microscope with my phone. So that's the calyx there. Here's the corolla with the 5, in this case it's Acacia paramatensis, it's got 5 perianth parts, and then it's got the stamens, and then it's got the 1 female part coming out of the flower there, and that's repeated across. I do think I have seen that, again, some flowers I think can be male and some flowers can be female, just if they're lacking the female part, or some of the stamens might be staminodes. That's something I might deep dive into as well, still coming across that. But most of the time you got a bisexual flower. And yeah, that was paramatensis. That's just a close-up there. And what I'm trying to show is a representation of this diagram that's on PlantNet. But we can't see all the petals or all parts of the corolla lobe here, but you just assume there's 5. There's, 1 there, second one there, 3. There'd be another one around the corner, and probably a 5th one back there somewhere. And that's what you get a lot of the time. But I sort of said you get it all the time, which is not completely true. And what we've sort of discovered is the number of parts here can change. You can have 4 or you can have 5. In most cases you have 5, but you can have 4. Now, I just wanted to get some better photos, and I tried again. This is the flowers of Acacia binervia, which I just collected about a month ago or so, or a couple of weeks ago. Just the tree for the one I made the video on the channel. And you can see I've put the flower upside down. I've tried to sort of squash it down so it sits there. And you can really clearly see the 5 perianth lobes, or the 5 corolla lobes there. which are really cool, and they're almost well and truly separated, so we'd call them 5 petals, but they might be joined here further at the bottom. We can't really see the calyx. We're looking at sort of the bum of the calyx there, or the base. It's sort of sticking up in the air, and there's all the stamens, and I don't know where the female part would be. I've just sort of got some tweezers and pushed this flower down on its head into the glass at the bottom, and just tried to keep it there so I could take some photos. But there's the 5 petals there of the flower. But here, and I've tried my absolute best, this is Acacia longifolia, and this is a wattle that has 4 morous flowers. It's still got the numerous stamens and the carpel, but it has 4 petals, and I've really tried my best to capture them here. This time I've got the flower, yeah, I think I've put it upside down again, I think, even though these petals are bending backwards. I think I left the flowers for a fair bit of time before I collected them. They dried out a bit, and then I tried to pull them out and have a good look. But what I'm trying to show is there's only 4 petals. There's sort of another one there, and there's one here. And Acacia longifolia is described as having 4. There's just another picture there. I think I just moved it around and tried to take it again, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 petals, and I wasn't aware that some of the wattle flowers throw 4 petals. In some species, it's concretely 4 for pretty much every flower they report, or the botanists report. For some species, they can have 4 or 5, and they might say something like mostly 5, sometimes 4, or they might say mostly 4, sometimes 5, or they might say 4 morous, like that. So that's what I have sort of found out, and I've just tried to capture that down the microscope. Just a real close up here, just tried to blow it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, there's the 4 parts. So you can actually observe it. If you get them down a dissecting microscope, you carefully pull them out with your tweezers. You can take your time, because there's a lot of flowers there. If you grab a couple of spikes, you're going to have a lot of flowers to play with at the right time of year, of course, but you can grab them and just have a look at the ones that have got 4 morous flowers. And going through the New South Wales PlantNet key, these are the ones I have found that throw flowers with 4 petals. So there's not a lot of them, and there could be more than this, but these are the main ones I found with a bit of looking, and I don't think there's going to be too many more in the whole genus. But obtusifolia, that's the one that looks like longifolia, but it flowers in summer, and it's got slightly different leaves with sort of resinous margins we can have a look at. I think I've met these ones sometimes, but they're in the more inland parts of New South Wales, and I don't see them very often. Havilandiorum genistifolia. Some of these ones I'm not too familiar with. Longissima is a Sydney one. That's one I could throw into my workshop, so I might go and collect it for the next one. But some of these other ones I'm just not too familiar with. But if you're going to key them out on, at least on New South Wales Flora online, these were the ones where you might make a decision that they've got 4 morous flowers. So just have a good look next time. Just see what you can, if you've got a dissecting microscope, even a hand lens might do it, but I reckon it's a dissecting microscope that you need. Just be aware that some of them do throw these 4 morous flowers, which is interesting. And it's just something I overlooked as I was getting really strongly familiar with the wattles. So that's just, the second lecture of the additional tidbits and corrections. I think in the next lecture I might be looking at stipules, the wattles that have stipules and the ones that don't. I'm interested in that as well. Hope you enjoyed it.